Hi guys, I'm Arabella and today we're going to be talking to Natalie, the NZ Loyal Kaikoura MP. Natalie, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're working towards here?
Sure, I'm Natalie Colello. I'm the Kaikoura candidate for New Zealand Loyal.
So how long have you been in politics?
4 weeks.
4 weeks, mate.
So what drew you to New Zealand Loyal and what policies really resonate with you?
Sure, so for me, what drew me to New Zealand Loyal was the fact that we stand for freedom and our rights. So creating a better country, and for me that I'm passionate about that. But the biggest policy we have that I think is fantastic is our 1% tax policy. So it's a 1% transaction tax policy, meaning that we pay less on goods and services, and we pay less for everything essentially, like 1% as opposed to like 50%. If I ask you, hey, 50% tax, or do you want to pay a 1% tax? It's a pretty simple answer in my opinion.
When I read about your policies on abortion, Liz Gunn states that Jacinda Ardern passed the right to terminate a pregnancy within 9 months with barely a whisper of consultation with the people of New Zealand. So why should the whole of New Zealand be involved in a discussion that's the decision of one woman who is choosing to get an abortion?
I hear you on that, and this has been raised with me a few times actually, the abortion situation, and I'm telling you now that New Zealand Loyal does believe in life, okay? We believe in the choices as well. So do I believe, or does New Zealand Loyal believe we should be able to terminate at 9 months? No, absolutely not. That's a living, breathing person. You should never allow a living, breathing person just to be killed like that. And I disagree I disagree with the now I've gotten all blank. I totally agree that there should have been consultation. I disagree that one woman has made this decision for our entire country. That is wrong and it's not okay.
Liz Gunn also states that abortion over 3 months will only be accepted if it jeopardises the mother or if the child will have no quality of life. So what constitutes no quality of life?
No quality of life meaning that the child is really in uterine not formed properly, okay? Because that's not a good life to have if you're constantly needing care after your birth. For me, I think 24 week mark, at 24 weeks, the baby, if you were to give birth, can't survive, but at 25 weeks, it definitely can. And so if there is not a medical reason why after that time you should have an abortion, then I don't think you should. You've got plenty of time in that 3 months to make that decision.
So following up from that, if a person gets into a car crash, say, and they go into a vegetative state, because they don't function properly mentally, do they then lose the right to life?
I can't answer that. I would put that back to the people and I'd say let's have a discussion with the people about that, because with New Zealand Loyal we're not about making all the decisions for you. We're about asking you, the people, where it is that what you'd like to see and how you'd like to see that come about.
Okay, I see that you state in your abortion policy many times that New Zealand is letting down the children of the nation. So I'd like to know what you'd do for children that are already part of the nation, that have been born, that are homeless, in severely abusive homes and in homes with lots of poverty around them.
Sure. So we'll start with 1% tax policy, all right? That immediately gives everyone a better living situation because you've got more money in your back pocket. You're talking about poverty. Poverty in this country is quite severe, and so bringing in this tax policy allows money to flow and helps those lower end people. But also, I personally can't answer for Liz Gunn. I'm not Liz Gunn, but I am here and my passion is to help the lower end people of our society, the people who are struggling and finding it hard, the people with children that don't have a meal. Let's, instead of saying, hey, here's a policy for this and here's a policy for that, let's talk to them, let's find out how we can better help them to grow and to come into society and for their children to flourish. Homeschooling is one of my big ones because I think a child can learn so much from parents and grandparents and community. So I feel like homeschooling should be an everyday option for people, not just something you have to pay for.
Okay, regarding your education policy, how do you think we should encourage students to pursue a career that isn't necessarily with university or requires a university degree?
So look, as I just stated before in the last question, schooling around living outdoors, like getting out and about. Bring back trapping. That takes me to our 1080 policy, by the way. Do away with 1080, bring back trapping, because trapping is an industry that is getting lost, helps a lot of young people, and also we can do it in a humane way where we're getting back to nature. Why don't we get our children out into public gardens and learning how to flourish, build houses. You know, education isn't always just in a classroom.
Okay, so what is your plan with 1080?
Ban 1080. It's so bad. It is so bad. Why are we one of only 2 countries in the entire world that still use this toxic substance? We shouldn't be using that at all, because we have other methods that are better for our environment and our native species. You know, we've got our flora and fauna, and it's not just about our birds as well. It's also about our plant life that is native and indigenous to this country. And 1080 kills so much. And I will tell you, my husband is a trapper, has been for years. He spent a long time creating a bird sanctuary via trapping. And I remember walking in there and the birds would land on my feet and they would be landing all around me. They were not afraid. A few weeks later, he'd finished his job, put a buffer zone in, and they 1080'd it. And the forest literally went silent. So there's your answer to 1080, ban it.
So do you think we should bring back government-funded culling for the 2050 goal of pest-free New Zealand?
Yeah, sure, like absolutely. One thing that I will say that the governments have done, they've made it so hard for people to hold a gun licence. So let's relax those laws and allow more people that want to be out there hunting and fishing and whatever they need to do, then let's let them do that. We're not about taking away your rights, we're about giving you your rights back.
So when I looked at your gun club policy, Liz Gunn states that instead of a gun licence, you will be issued a certificate of competency. How does that differ from a gun licence?
So a certificate of competency is more about just assessing you as a person. Are you a good person? Do you have good morals and good values? Because it's not everybody that's horrible and dangerous. And so why do you have to go through and sit all these horrific tests that take so long and pay so much money, when actually it could be as simple as let's get some references about you from people around you. Let's have a chat and see if you're actually a good person. That allows you to go hunt the animal for dinner, or you know, just get out there in that gun club and have a wee shoot at the targets. So it's about relaxing what has been implemented without public consultation or without listening to the public, these laws that are just so archaic.
So on the same policy, Liz Gunn states, she questions the integrity of the arms amendment regulations in 2019 and suggests that the 2019 Christchurch mosque attacks were possibly planned by the government or the United Nations. Do you agree that the UN or the government may have staged those mosque attacks?
For me, I think it was an individual person. I can't answer for Liz Gunn, okay? I've stated this before, I am not Liz Gunn, I'm just little me. And personally, I wouldn't want to go into that conversation, because that is prior to my stepping up here with the party to stand for freedoms and rights. At the end of the day, I saw one man running around shooting everyone. However, how hard was it to catch that one man? You have to ask the question about the police force at that point and the time frame that response was done. And you know, members of the public were stepping up to do the job for the police. So then you do have to ask, was this a planned attack?
And do you think that these gun laws were put into place so quickly after the mosque attack so that no one was inspired to do the same sort of thing?
Yes, I do, but I think so quickly is not fair. Nor is it right. It puts so many people out. You've got gun collectors that have been collecting guns for generations. They've had them handed down to families. They had to give them back to the government. They had to give them to the police. You know, there was no consultation over that gun law change, and there should have been. There just should have been, to make it fair and right.
Okay, so the man that did the mosque attacks was Australian. And Australia sends back New Zealand criminals to us, so do you think we should send back Australian criminals to Australia?
Yes, I do, but not until after they have served their punishment here for the crime they committed. But then I think, send them home, don't let them come back.
So do you think we should fund the military more?
Look, we're a very small country, and I think the military does get enough funding. We would obviously have that discussion with the people, and we would obviously have this discussion with the military as well. I think we do need our military to protect our country, but Do we need it to be overfunded? I don't think so. So we need to look at the ins and outs of how that kind of situation works and have that discussion with the people as well. Do we need all of this? And that's not, again, a decision for me to make. It's a decision that we would sit down, say we have a live TV every day and we discuss this with the people. We have some amazing technology that can be used for good, so let's use it and discuss this as a nation.
Okay, so how do you think people will benefit from the 1% tax with the economic growth at the moment?
Yeah, so look, the 1% tax policy, incredible, right? It's a transaction tax, okay? Let me talk about a farmer. A farmer works for 6 months of the year, right? And he says, I'm working for the first 6 months of the year so I can pay my taxes to the government, right? Then I work the second 6 months of the year, and this is just so that I can make a little bit of money to survive on. But everything I do is so heavily taxed that I have to really be careful. So what this 1% transaction tax policy does is it removes all that 50% away, takes it away, throw it over there, and you know what? You're living a better, healthier, freer life with more money in your back pocket, more money to spend. And I'll just say, stagnant money sitting here does nothing. Money moving, money flowing creates more money. So we have a better economy for it too. Yes, under the 1%, and I know this is probably a question that you're going to ask me, so I'll answer it right now. Under the 1% tax policy, we can still have free healthcare, free education. We can still pay for our country's roads. We make more than enough with 1%. Do you know that banks currently, they don't really pay a lot in tax? So what happens is the banks make how many transactions? Instantly, more money. No GST, no income tax, no PAYE. That's all gone. That gives you how much extra in your back pocket as well, okay? So we're creating a bigger economy, more cash flow, more income, and we can survive fantastically.
Do you think it will be harder for students in cities to stray from the university side of careers as opposed to students in rural towns?
Look, it shouldn't be harder for one and easier for another. Why can't it be equal across the board? And to be fair with you, why can't we implement a qualification that you don't have to go sit in university for 3 or 4 or 5 years to get? Why can't you practically do it? Let's take nursing for example. Back several years ago, nursing used to be done hands-on. You used to learn by doing, and yes, you'd have to do your essays as well, but that was a more practical way to learn for a lot of people. And now you go to university, you sit there for 3 years and you still have to go do postgrad because you didn't learn enough while you were there. How's that right or fair? So at the end of the day, I think it should be equal across the board, whether you live in a city or out in the country.
Okay, and with government funded programs like fees free first year for uni students, would you keep that?
Yeah, sure. I think we need to discuss that a little more, especially with our university students. Who are we to make that decision without actual proper consultation? So for me, I'd say yes, sure, absolutely. We need to make it affordable for you guys to go through university. We need to support our young people, and that is what we're about.
So with students coming out of university, do you think there's so many more going to Australia because of how much they get paid?
Sure. Bring you back to the 1% tax policy, right? Because you're going to go get qualified and you're going to come out and you're going to earn some good money, and that money you earn is all yours. Okay. Yeah, so instantly with that policy, answers your question, how are you going to do better? How are you going to stay in New Zealand? No one else is offering you a 1% tax policy, right? So just take that up, for example.
Okay, so with him, it's so beautiful, but it is getting a lot warmer. What are your policies, or what are you going to do to help stop climate change?
Well, we have a discussion around climate change. It depends. There's a lot of conflicting situations with climate change. So this person here believes it's a lot of rubbish, and this person here believes it's all science. So what I'm saying to you there is, let's look into that a little further. Let's have a discussion around that, and I'm not going to answer that as wholeheartedly just me and my opinion. Climate change, yeah, we're seeing lots of changes around the world, but also because of it, we've lost our industries. So we need to look at how we can have our industries and look after our world, because that's important to us. Without a clean, green world to live in, with clean water and everything, we won't survive. So that's really important.
So what are you going to do about the housing crisis? Because there are so many people that would love to come to New Zealand and live here and work here, but they just can't afford it.
Sure there is. Look, we want to just put a hold on immigrants coming in, so we can assess how many people are here. If we can assess how many people are here and how much housing is available, we can look at how we can mitigate those housing crises that are happening. And it comes back again to having that discussion with the people, all right, because we don't have all the answers, right? But if we come together and we talk about it, many minds come up with perfect solutions.
So are there any other policies that you specifically would like to talk about?
Yeah, health. Health's a big one for me. The health sector, it needs an overhaul. It really does. And we need more choices in our health system. We're sitting here in the Hampton Springs Hospital, the Queen Mary ground, and I look at this hospital, I see it's dilapidated, it's unused, it's got boarded up windows, and it's just sitting here. Let's make this a beautiful place for people to come and heal, and let's give them some options and some choices to feel good again. You know, we have so many unwell people in our country. Why not help them by creating these beautiful places of healing and allowing in people who are qualified in naturopath, you've got your naturopaths, you've got the homeopaths. Why aren't we using these people? There are alternative medicines as well. So for me, the health system, so passionate about changing it up. So many people are unwell and remain that way for so long, and it's not their fault. It's that our health system can't cope, to be fair. And you have our medical professionals saying, let's just band-aid it, let's just band-aid it, let's just band-aid it. We'll put you on that waiting list over there, or maybe you'll be like that for the rest of your life. Let's bring that choice back to you. You know your body better than anyone else, so let's bring that choice back to you. Let's give you that choice to, and those options to get better, so that you can function in society again. Most people that are sick don't want to sit there on a benefit. They want to get back out and go to work. So let's help them to do that. So for me, the health system, huge passion, want to fix it, and want to see it grow and flourish.
So regarding the Band-Aid, we don't have a lot of doctors and nurses at the moment. How are we going to help doctors and nurses?
Yeah, sure. So for me, I'll bring you back to that university question, you know. Why do we have to sit in a classroom and learn? So if we're going to train nurses and doctors, right, we need them to be practicing, because that's the best way to learn about anything, is to do it. So yes, studying, yes, teachers, yes, learning all the ins and outs, but also being able to practice that. So if we can do that, we will have a better system, we'll have more doctors and nurses, and we want to support young people into long-term careers. So of course, absolutely, support them, bring them in, grow the industry.
So is there anything that you want to just clear up, or anything that you might have been like, oh, I want to talk about that a little bit more?
No, I think we've had a really good discussion.
Right, thank you so much for your time, Natalie. It's been great talking to you, and I've loved hearing about your different policies.